Okay, so imagine this for a second. You have a favorite history channel, right? And the voice that guides you through all these incredible stories just suddenly goes silent. What happens then? Well, for the channel's Serious History, a really unexpected announcement didn't just create a problem, it actually sparked a pretty fascinating solution. They put out a call for help that turned directly to the people who watch their stuff every single day. So let's break down how this whole thing went down. So it all starts with the narrator. I mean, for a year and a half, his voice was the constant guide through all these really complex historical tales. It basically became the sound of the channel. We're not just talking about some random voiceover artist here. He was the storyteller, you know? The guy the whole Serious History community associated with the channel. And he talks about it being this incredible experience. He makes it super clear that the amazing response from the audience is what really fuels the entire creative team. It's that perfect feedback loop between a creator and their community built on just mutual appreciation. But as we're about to see, that relationship was going to get tested in a totally new way. So what happened? An unexpected departure. But, this wasn't about drama or creative differences or burnout or any of that. The reason for the narrator's temporary leave was something completely and totally outside of his control.
And what was the reason? Deployment. See, he's a member of the military reserves, and he got the call that he was going to be deployed for a few months. And that meant, pretty simply, he wouldn't be able to record any new videos. So, the channel laid out the situation with this really clear good news/bad news breakdown. The bad news, well, that's obvious. The voice of the channel is going to be gone for a bit. But the good news is so crucial here. The channel itself isn't going anywhere. And that's because the narrator, he's only one part of a much, much bigger team.
And this right here highlights a super important point that I think audiences can miss sometimes. A channel is very rarely just the one person you see or hear. Behind that voice, there is an entire creative engine just chugging along. And this is what shows the channel's resilience. So while the narrator's away, you've still got the directors, the writers, the researchers, and the animators. All of them are still hard at work. The whole production pipeline, it's completely intact. But of course, this leaves one very specific problem that they've got to solve. Yeah, it all comes down to this single question. With all the stories written, researched, and animated, who is actually going to be the one to voice them? And the answer they came up with is where things get really, really interesting. Instead of just, hiring a professional from some agency, the Serious History team decided to turn to their most valuable resource, their own community. They put out a call for help, basically inviting their viewers to become part of the solution. The request couldn't be more direct and simple. They're looking for a substitute to fill in. And what's so smart about this is that they're not just looking for any voice. They're hoping to find someone who already gets the channel's tone and can step into this really important temporary role and just keep those stories flowing. So what exactly were they looking for? Well, beyond having the right recording gear, they needed a true storyteller, someone who could handle the channel's unique mix of humor, acting out little skits, and hitting those genuinely emotional moments. Essentially, they needed a performer, not just someone to read a script. And for anyone out there who was interested, the process was broken down into these 3 simple steps. First, make sure you have the equipment. Second, put together a portfolio or a sample that really shows off your skills. And then third, just email it to the team. It was a totally open invitation, and they made it as accessible as possible. And there it is, the direct line, the email address for anyone in the community who felt like, hey, I've got what it takes, and wanted to step up and maybe become the next voice of the channel, even if just for a little while. The team was also really transparent about compensation. They made it clear this is a paid job. But they also manage expectations right up front by saying, look, our budget is a little tight, which, let's be honest, is a common reality for animation channels on YouTube. That kind of honesty is a huge part of building trust with your community. So, what was the game plan? The channel laid out this super clear timeline to guide the audience through the change. First, a few more videos with the original narrator would drop. Next, they'd do a proper introduction for whoever they chose as the substitute. And then, the new videos would begin. It's all about clear communication to make sure that handoff is as smooth as possible. And this, right here, is the real takeaway. You've got a modern creative team that faced a huge problem, and they turned to their audience not just for support, but to be an active collaborator. They invited someone from their own community to literally become the voice of the channel, turning what could have been a disaster into a genuine opportunity. This whole situation really points to a much bigger idea, and it leaves us with this fascinating question. In an age where creators and their audiences are so connected, what new ways can they actually collaborate? Serious History proved that a community can be so much more than just passive viewers. They can be active partners in keeping the stories we all love alive.